Welcome! We are creating a series of videos and curated resources to equip and support ministry leaders as they support their people in the important work of growing in the love of God and neighbor for the transformation of today's world. Today's focus is starting with your why. We're going to take a moment to introduce ourselves. My name is Reverend Kathy Pittenger. I am the Children's Initiatives Coordinator for the Michigan Conference of the United Methodist Church. And this project is important to me because I think one of our foundations as faith leaders is to know the why of our ministry before we jump into planning for what we're going to do. And we have, as we've been collaborating, we've been having some conversations about playfulness. And one of the ways that I love being playful is building with Lego. And I especially love it when my 7-year-old gets Lego sets for his birthday and he lets me build them. All right, Tanya.
Hello, everyone. I am Reverend Dr. Tanya Campen, and I am currently the Director of Intergenerational Discipleship for the Rio, Texas Conference of the United Methodist Church. This topic is really important to me because I believe that identifying our purpose and naming our why creates a strong foundation for any ministry that we're going to create. And it also ensures that we are relevant and faithful to God's call and God's purpose. In regards to play, I have a 14-month-old, and so I love to play by getting down on the floor with him. And as he picks up new objects and toys and looks at me and shows it to me, I love taking the time to name the different objects as we wonder and discover together. It's definitely a fun time. Christine.
Hi, I'm the Reverend Christine Hides, and I serve as the Director of Christian Education at Kenilworth Union Church, which is one of the oldest non-denominational or interdenominational churches in the country. This project is important to me because it's a big part of my personal why, to collaborate with other leaders to create effective faith formation ministries. I have teenagers, not littles, so I don't get as many opportunities to sit on the floor and play Legos as I used to, and I loved doing that, so thank you for that fun memory. But I do love painting and hiking with my teenage daughters.
So fun. And I am grateful to be collaborating with you too. We've already had a lot of fun creating and wondering together. And I'm excited to be putting together these resources. We know that finding our why is an important first step in creating fruitful ministry because Christ guides our steps and our ministry. Finding our why and identifying our purpose ensures then that we will begin our work by listening to God.
We begin our ministry planning by asking, God, how are you calling me to lead your people? Through prayer, we begin to identify and articulate our purpose and our values, naming the why for all the ministries we seek to create.
And this intentional process provides the foundation for the work you and your creative team will do together. Naming your why provides motivation, helps with decision-making, and offers rationale for your ministry when you're seeking support from your faith community. Our why also provides an evaluative tool as we reflect on our ministry asking, God, are we being faithful?
Here are 3 practical reasons why knowing your why is important. First, knowing your why provides you with motivation. It gives you purpose that helps you get out of bed and encourages you through the hard times. I don't know about you all, but ministry has taught me that I often have unrealistic expectations that people in the church will behave a certain way. So when they don't, I am often disappointed or hurt. When I was serving a church, I would sometimes receive what felt like to me harsh emails, or there were moments when a parent or another staff member would lash out in anger. And it was in those difficult moments that I used my why as a reminder of the ministry that God calls me to. My why has always provided the motivation I need to keep putting one foot in front of the other. Now in my current office, I literally have my why written on the wipe-off board that is that's on the wall right in front of my desk. So when I get frustrated or disappointed, I can always take a minute to stop, to breathe, and to pray over my why statement as I remember what the work God has called me to do. It always helps get me back into a creative and fruitful headspace.
So the second practical reason for naming your why statement relates to decision making. Knowing your why helps to make intentional and wise choices. Our email inboxes are full of products that promise to solve our many ministry challenges. Buy this curriculum, subscribe to this, and foam crafts are on sale. And it is easy to get stuck and sucked into what I've heard Tanya call the stuff and things. Especially right now during COVID-19, many of us have decision fatigue. When we know our why, we are able to weed through all of these decisions. The ministry I serve identified their why during the strategic planning process they did a couple of years ago. And part of that strategic planning process named that we desire to be a 24/7 community where families practice faith with enthusiasm. And as we plan for fall, we know that we need an online platform which fits our why, a platform where parents can connect with one another and where content is organized so that they can find it quickly. And I started with several top 20 apps for community learning, and I was quickly able to narrow down that huge list because I knew our why. I knew what we needed this product to do, and so it helped us to make that decision. Knowing our why helps us to make wise and efficient choices.
The third point is gathering support from your church leaders and parents, especially if you're working with children, youth, or family ministry. So knowing your why helps you gather support from others. And as you and your team establish the why, either for all of faith formation or in your area, you can share your why with the leaders and people you serve. You can also share your why wider into the congregation so they understand the ministry you are planning and implementing. One of the reasons to gather support is so that when you're forced or have an opportunity to pivot, you know why you do what you're doing and you can adjust as needed. For example, I work with church leaders who are wrestling with what to do about Vacation Bible School in the summer of 2020. Since it was not feasible for most churches to do the traditional in-person VBS experience, leaders looked at what to do. In the Zoom conversations we had, I encouraged leaders to look at their why. What has, in the past, been the reason that they had a VBS or other summer program? When leaders identified their why, which for some was an outreach opportunity or a way to provide low-cost childcare for a week, pivoting to an online VBS would not be in alignment with their why. For churches who wanted to offer a faith formation experience for families who were more able to easily adapt to a digital VBS because it was in line with their why. When explaining to leadership the shifts that were being made, when they explained their why, other leaders and the church community were more easily able to understand the shift and gathered support for the pivot.
So we want to help you write your why statement. Writing your why does not need to involve a 6-month task force. We recommend spending an hour getting a messy first draft down on paper. A few years ago, there was a commercial about building airplanes as they flew in the sky. And leading ministry, especially right now, sort of feels like that process of building something as it's moving. And I don't think many of us have energy for drawn out wordsmithing. So we have created 2 templates to help guide you through a quick, theologically grounded draft of your why statement. In the spirit of playfulness, one of the template guides folds into a paper airplane that can be flown to a friend for feedback. But if you prefer a linear approach, we have that template too on the website. So if you are using the airplane template, start by folding it in half the long way. Sorry, mine's already folded into a plane, but folding it half the long way and brainstorming, what is your purpose? What is your cause? What do you value? And what are the reasons behind what you do? Once you've spent a few minutes brainstorming your why, then you can connect your why statement with some scripture and tradition. So we have on this side the baptismal vows of the United Methodist Church, the Great Commission from Matthew, and the mission statement of the United Methodist Church, which is to make disciples for Jesus Christ for the transformation of the world. And so once you've sort of made those theological connections, you can begin to write a few drafts. We've got a space for a quick draft here, and then we recommend chatting with a friend, getting a little feedback, writing another quick draft here, and finally a third quick draft of a sentence or two based on your why. And then you can fold this up into a paper airplane and send it along to a friend or your leadership team for more feedback. One of the things that I would also add is a phrase I've heard recently, which is great is the enemy of the good. So use this tool as a place to get started. Don't convene a task force. Don't spend hours wordsmithing. Spend an hour and just get your why statement down on paper.
So as you all do this work, just give it a go. Let it guide your ministry, and then come back for our next topic as we talk about creating hybrid faith formation ministry. And of course, check out and find more resources at faithformationplaylists.weebly.com. Prayers for your ministry. Thanks for joining us in this important work.